Hey everybody, this is Dallas Cage, and you're watching CCP Podcasting.
What is happening, friends of CCP Podcasting? Welcome to Beyond the Bell Live. I am Chris Page. I've got my man, the gimmicky one himself. He's from the Netherlands. He's the gimmicky goth. What is happening, brother? Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good. I mean, it's a wonderful day outside, and I know we should normally you used to have a show a couple of hours prior to this one, but when you asked me to join up, I said yes, I'll be here, and we got a conversation with an interesting individual. That's for sure.
Absolutely, man. But before we get into our conversation, let's run through some quick announcements. Guys, it's happening. Chapter 2, next level. We are 2 weeks away officially from our second live event, our first live event of 2026 in Orlando, Florida. Devious Cass and GMJ one-on-one in your main event. The road to the CCP Podcasting Heavyweight Championship is firmly underway. That will come full circle in April, and it is going to be April the 25th, where we will crown that first champion. We're going to see a qualifying match for that on the 31st with Baracco taking on the future professional wrestling Destin. It's a big time feel there. I've got one more match to announce that will come probably later on this evening. If you guys stay tuned to social media, we've got 9 big things on deck. Some friends invading from Southern California, from Primal Pro Wrestling. We've got some friends from Atlanta coming down. We've got a lot of things happening. That is Chapter 2. And tickets are already selling for Chapter 3, Goth. Out in Southern California, Los Angeles, on March the 28th. Those are selling right now. Everything you can find for our live events is at ccppodcasting.com. And of course, in March, your main event there, 2 out of 3 falls. The 2 best tag teams, in my opinion, in Southern California, the Brothers Divine and the Pump Line. One more time, and it could be for the last time. You never know. Goth, what's happening, brother? What are you thinking about our live events and what all we have coming forward?
I mean, the first live event we did in November was exciting. It was our Genesis, and now we're just getting ourselves into some stuff, and you realize some stuff that has been going on and how you should have done other differently. You learn by default, and we all do. And I'm just excited to see all the talents that are gearing up to be on the show. I mean, if you talk about all the people who are contacting us, can we be on a show? It's amazing how far we have gone in such a short time, and I'm excited for a lot of matches on both shows. So get your tickets now.
Yeah, you better get them while you can because they're definitely going to run
Mhm.
and run quickly. Listen, we've got a busy day today. We've got Beyond the Bells out the wazoo. We've got a Brit Rest Spotlight coming up around 3 p.m., and it's going to be a wild weekend here on the channel, so stay tuned for all of our programming because it is going to be a great weekend of independent wrestling. Now, let's get into why we are here today. Our guest, we have had several come through from Evolution Wrestling over in the UK. We had Big Brazen of the Woods. We've spoken to Chris Angel. And now we've got an opportunity because one name has come up between both of those conversations, and that's with our guest today. He comes to us from Evolution Wrestling. He is the Superbeast. He is Mr. Liam Jones. How's it going, brother? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Doing really well. Currently sat in the Evolution Trading Hall. It is freezing cold. No heating on in here yet. But no, all good, all good.
I'm glad that we get an opportunity to sit down and have this conversation because one thing about our channel is that we've learned from all over the world, indie wrestling is on fire, and we have been fortunate enough to sit back and watch so much from not just for me, not just here in the States, but internationally as well, and to be able to sit down and pick your brain and just hear your story and your journey thus far is going to be educational for me, and it's going to be educational to our audience. So welcome everybody. If you're watching on Twitch, hello. Over on X, how you doing? And if you're checking us out on YouTube, what's up? Goth, why don't you go ahead and say some hellos on the air?
Well, first of all, I want to say welcome to our guest, Mr. Jones. I'm looking forward to our conversation and learn to get to learn from you and your story, and to appreciate even more about the independent wrestling in the UK and everywhere else. And I want to say welcome to our lovely crowd already who is popping in the chat. So welcome.
No, thank you. No, honestly, the independent scene right now, not just in the UK, just worldwide, is absolutely on fire. You guys are completely right. So, no, it's an honor to be able to do these types of podcasts and be able to put spotlight not just on myself or my promotion, but other people around the UK, America, Netherlands, just everywhere. So it's really good. Thank you.
Oh, well, let's dive in and let's get started, man. For me, I don't, obviously we're going to talk about how you got into wrestling, but you got to fall in love with it somewhere. Where does it intersect with you? What were you watching? What drew you in? What was the deal?
So I think this is where I really am set apart from anyone else in professional wrestling. I didn't start professional wrestling because I wanted to. I was very much thrown into professional wrestling. So we had a family friend who started a promotion, which was Evolution Wrestling. And at the age of 5, I didn't really have anything to do on weekends. So, we'd come up to the training school when it first opened. And so that's where my journey started, was just through family friends, being thrown to live shows, thrown to training. I never watched WWE, WWF, TNA, nothing, watched nothing. All I knew was what the EVW shows were about. That was one vision, that was it. So then I started at 5, started training at 5. Then obviously through the years, I then started watching a bit of TNA on the Freeview, watching a little bit of WWE on Sky Sports, and then obviously as the internet got bigger, that's where I started finding out about like your Progress Wrestlings, your PWGs. So for me, wrestling wasn't anything that I loved for probably a good few years, even after I started training. It was just something that I knew I would be very, very good at if I tried hard from a very young age.
Well, I'd hope so at 5 years old. I mean, talk about cutting your teeth. I mean, damn, dude. I thought I was doing good by getting into it at like 16, but 5. I've talked to people who've gotten into it at 12 and a little younger than that, but never 5 years old. So
I think we got a new record.
Facts, man. You came in
I
absorbing.
think I hold the worldwide record at this point.
I mean, you just got out of booties, and now we're putting you in boots, man. I see how y'all do it over there.
I came out the womb doing Hurricane Ranas, honestly.
well, let's talk a little bit about Evolution Wrestling. Obviously, if that's where you started, like you didn't even start by watching or following up, like you started legit by getting in the ring and just seeing what this looks like. And so from that young age, what were some of the things that you were taking away, and what were some of the things that you were putting into practice? Because I mean, it has got to be, it's got to put you at an advantage over someone getting into it later in the game, because you're 5 years old, dude.
Yeah. So the EBW shows started before the academy was even a thing. So I remember going to the shows, and I used to love the shows to begin with. And even from 5, I was loving the shows. And I just have this vague memory, and my mother would tell the story so much better than I would, being sat in the crowd, and they do the whole gimmick where the wrestlers get thrown through the chairs. And now me being in the crowd, I was petrified of this. So whenever we went to events after that, I'd be hiding underneath the merch tables and running out of the room, because I'd be worried that these wrestlers are going to get thrown at me again. I'd be more than happy to jump in the ring pre-show, but during the show, I did not want to know. I got to a point where I was just, and like, I don't know obviously how it was obviously in the States or Netherlands, but especially early 2000s in the UK, it was a lot of, here's the fake Ultimate Warrior, here's the fake Sting, here's Spider the Man wrestling. So there'd be all these characters, and they're like, yeah, but you know, that's Ultimate Warrior. I don't care. I'm under the merch table, hiding away. So that was kind of my first real experience at shows. Until I did get a bit older, and I was a bit more like, okay, the bad guy's not going to come punch little 6-year-old Liam in the crowd. I'm safe now. So that was definitely my first traumatizing experience, for sure.
My God.
You're safe for today. that's you know. I mean, I dig it, man. I think that's a really good start to what's turning into a pretty good career over there in Evolution Wrestling. So when you're going through training, it doesn't have to be necessarily at 5 years old. It doesn't have to be, at what point before you make your debut. But what were some of the things as you're growing up in the industry, essentially? What were some of the things that were difficult for you to hone in on versus maybe something that came a little bit more naturally?
So as a kid, I definitely I wasn't listening like I should.
Who does?
I have a real big memory of we were doing, it was just like technical wrestling. And at the school at the time, we had Mark Haskins' wife, Vicky Haskins, was a trainee here at that time. And I remember she gave me a waist lock takedown, and whatever the drill was supposed to be, I was not listening. I was just fidgeting around, trying my best to pry those fingers. And I remember just breaking her nail. And I just remember the coach being like, if you're not going to listen, you can't train. Okay, we're at a point now where you just need to calm down. I was taking Charlie Sterling's wallet from his bag and running around the training school with it, just trying to wind him up. As people are setting up the ring, carrying the posts down through the yard to bring it in, I'd have a football boot and the ball at them. Like I was a kid, and it was obviously pissing everyone off. It was funny to see a 5-year-old climbing that top rope and doing a moonsault, sure. But then when you're trying to carry a ring post and you have little Liam booting a football at you, they were obviously getting pissed. So that was kind of my big first learning experience rather than the actual wrestling aspect. It was, learning how to not be a little shit, as Brazen would put it.
Well, we can all be a little shit every now and then, even in our older age. Let's be fair. Goth, go ahead, man. What do you got?
I'm just curious, when you said about you started about when you were 5 years old. Clearly, there are probably some hesitations from the coaches for what you should be able to do, or maybe do something for later on. What was the early beginnings of the trainings that you were allowed to do, and what was the things that you were allowed to do when you're an older age?
So the one thing about the EVW Academy that still stands, that was back then, was the academy shows, doing shows just for friends and families. So I remember around the age of 5, we had our first academy show as such. So it was working with one of our trainers who, like I said, was a family friend at the time. And we were just putting together this little match, and it was just little sequences, things like your headlocks into your shoulder tackles, little things like how you're doing a roll up in a schoolboy. So that was kind of where my knowledge started, with just those basic little bits, just so I could do a little academy show in front of the friends and family. That was it. And then obviously it ended up progressing into, okay, well, now you've got the headlock and the shoulder tackle. Now you're going to learn how to do the sleeps. Now you're going to learn on this and that. And obviously, things like the crash mats to take the bumps on as well. However, something that I spoke about recently on my social media is obviously no one really understood the effects that training at that age would have on the body as such. It was just funny to be jumping around, and we didn't realize, obviously, the physical conditions it would have on, for example, my shin bones started growing towards my knee, and I had problems with my cartilage in my left knee, and I'd wake up in pain. And my mum was like, well, this is why you shouldn't be training, like, if you're going to wake up in pain. But it was just that reality of I was a kid doing something that's an adult sport. That was the pure reality of it. And the other big thing for me was, obviously, you're listening to the wrestlers. I didn't really have a social life because wrestling became my social life from the age of 5. And I'm sure you both know yourselves, when you're in the locker room, some of the stuff that is said isn't always the most PG things. Whether it be the wording, the phrases, how they're talking about stuff, right?
Listen,
so I'm 5 years old.
I equate it to taking a kid to the softball field. I'm a softball player, was back a couple of years ago, and did for decades. If you bring a child to the softball field, you know what you're putting them in the way of. So it's almost like the same perspective. If you bring a child into a locker room, you already know what to fucking expect. So I don't mean to step on you, but I totally get it.
That's it. So I was listening to that dry humor and those jokes and the language being used. As a kid, I'm there like, I don't give a fuck. And my mum's like, you can't be saying this type of stuff. You're gonna go to primary school tomorrow. You can't be going around talking like this. That was another issue as such I ran into as a child trainee.
That's an
I'm
easy one.
almost about to ask about all the pranks that they pulled in the locker room.
No, like obviously being a kid, I was quite lucky that obviously I didn't, get pranked and ribs as much as the other adults would. But I remember being like, I must have been about like 12, being backstage at one of these academy shows, and one of the lads was like talking to another wrestler. You can't have your bulge showing like that. Come here, and he's got his hands then down his pants, helping him adjust his bulge. I'm like 12 years old watching this. This isn't normal. This isn't normal.
Oh, man, the locker room stories. I'm just telling you. I was a ribber. So like I got into it when I was 17. It was when I made my debut. And I grew up, and came up, and I gotta have fun with what you do. Even today in the real world, with my job and my employees at work, I always tell them, if you're not having fun, then don't fucking be here. Like, period.
Yeah,
Like, even with the channel, if you're not having fun, you don't need to be here. It's just one of those things. So, I mean, to understand that you're coming into this and now you're having to deal with the road stories and the ribs on top of it. But what I would do is I'd take a tassel. That was my favorite rib. Anybody who wore a tassel, I'd get it in the ring. I would get it in the ring.
But like, so obviously, this is the thing. Like, obviously, seeing all those ribs from being younger, I think that's something that's stuck with me, especially at like the EVW shows where it's just the Evolution guys. I know I can get away with throwing those ribs. Whether it was we did a show at Halloween time, and one of our lads, Levi Cooper, was putting a pumpkin on one of the other wrestlers' heads. And I said to Chris Angel, I was like, wouldn't it be funny whilst we're at the shop to put some vinegar in it? Put some vinegar in the pumpkin, just on his head. It would just sting. Like, but then this is the issue with being friends with Chris. Chris took it one step further and got some hot chili powder and just rinsed it all around the pumpkin. But then it gets another step further. Well, one of the wrestlers called Riley Roberts picks up the chili powder and pours it in Levi Cooper's bag. And it was just escalated and escalated.
We just took it to different levels there. So, Pumpkinhead, I bet you had a good time, and revenge better be bittersweet is all I'll say to that. That's wild, man. But that's just it. Like, you gotta, it's not necessarily like a hazing thing. Like, some people, when they talk about ribs or they look at the practical jokes or having a good time or cutting up, like, it's not a hazing kind of situation when you're really amongst your friends and you're just having a good time. Now, obviously, there's a line, and there's certain lines you just don't fucking cross. But that line keeps getting as time progresses. Stuff keeps dwindling away. But I always like it when I go into a locker room and I see people cutting up and having a good time, and I see a good practical joke, and I see like just the laughter that comes from it, and how the locker room just kind of just like, damn, especially stuff that's really funny. That doesn't hurt anybody, but it's definitely a good time. Outside of ribs, I want to pivot, and because I can talk about jokes and practical jokes all fucking day. I want to talk about the presentation. When do you start really putting together who Liam Jones is? And I know that over the course of time, that it always evolves, right? Like you have to evolve your character and what you're doing and what you're presenting. But when you start leading up to your debut, how old were you when you debuted?
So, on academy shows, my first academy show in front of an audience was 5 years old.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, right. So you weren't just...
Wow.
Yeah, you say you were thrown in. Brother, you were thrown in. Got it. All right.
Exactly. So, then at the age of around 10, 11, in front of like a paying audience that wasn't, friends and family, we did an exhibition match to show off the Kids Academy, which I was involved in. I wrestled on that. So I guess as such, if you wanted to class that as my main show debut in front of a paying audience that didn't know who I was, I would have been about 10, 11. Then at the age of 15, I was wrestling under a mask for about a year until I then came as myself. And then Liam Jones became a thing about 2019, 2020-ish. So that was when Liam Jones finally started, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's just kind of like you got to go under the hood to begin with. I get it. You're still a baby. You're still a wrestling baby.
Exactly. So
And
at the age of 5, we had a lad at the training school who his old wrestling name was Kid Candy, right?
Mhm.
And he was like, if you want that wrestling name, you can have it, it makes sense. And I was like, well, I don't want to be the exact same as him. So I just kind of sat on it and left it in the back pocket. So on my first ever academy show at the age of 5, I called myself Venom because of the kick pad brands. Because of the kick pad brands.
Mhm.
So I had the kick pads and the elbow pads that said Venom. So I was like, Venom, well, that's a custom wrestling kit for me, isn't it? So I used that. Obviously, no clue about the Spider-Man franchise or nothing at that age. Then a year or two came, and then that Kid Candy name was still in my back pocket, and I was like, okay, how am I going to change it? So I became Sweet Kid Candy for a few years. Instead, I then just became Kid Candy for a long time. So I was Kid Candy working these academy shows until I was 15, on a main show under a mask. And it was literally on the day thing. Someone's got injured. We have this mask. Liam's good enough to do it. Let's put him in the mask. Okay, well, what are we going to call him? We already have a mask gimmick called Mystery. We already have a mask gimmick called Confusion. And we're already doing something else with that. And one of the lads, because I was still a big lad at the time, took the piss and was like, why don't you call yourself El Bigo? I was like, fuck it. So I ran with it for like a show or two. I was El Bigo. And then it then ran to, I was doing the Mystery gimmick, which was a dance and luchador. Until finally I was just like, look, people know me from the academy shows because they're now coming to both shows. I just want to be Kid Candy, which happened. So I was Kid Candy. And then, like I said, around 2019, 2020, as I started becoming more of an adult, trying to say to promoters, I'm an adult called Kid Candy is a little bit of a hard sell. So that's when it came to a point where it was, I need to grow up and I need to become my own thing. And I'm there jotting down names. And one of the names that came into my head was Joey Cross. Where that came from, I have no clue. No clue at all. But there was wrestling who wrestled on ITV called Jason Cross. And his social media handle was Real Jason Cross. And I didn't think anything of it. And I set up a handle called Real Joey Cross. 10 minutes later, he messages me, what the fuck are you doing trying to fucking copy me, you piece of shit? I'm like, whoa. I've just thrown a fake name out there like you have. That's all I've done. Then it was like, okay, I can't do this. Back to the drawing board. My name's Liam. I'll run with that. So then it just became Liam Jones since then.
Over in chat real quick, first of all, shout out Goth. I mean, not Goth. Paul. I was answering Paul a minute ago. I muted the microphone. And Shannon, I see you guys. If you have questions, please feel free to ask them. We'll get them looped in. Paul says he knows Jason Cross. He's a trainer at WAW now. So there's a connection there just with a name drop here on the I love our audience, man.
Good.
I just love everybody knows everybody.
Very good.
Goth, let me circle around to you. What do you have off of what you heard?
I'm just curious about all the gimmicks that you mentioned that you've been, and I'm really as a fan. I've always enjoyed seeing how a gimmick starts, how a gimmick progresses, and how it evolves to what you're seeing right now. What was the gimmick that you enjoyed the most, and why?
So I definitely enjoyed the Kid Candy gimmick after the mask gimmick. I enjoyed that because it felt very natural. I was the young baby face. I was in good shape. And it felt very relatable for the time. However, if we're talking now, the Superbeast Liam Jones, that is me. That is just me through and through, turned up to volume 12. However, the funnest character was, we had a gimmick called Mystery, which was a pink luchador who just wanted to dance. He didn't want to wrestle. He didn't want to fight. He just wanted to dance. So
I see a market for it.
So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed just prattling around and having a laugh, sliding out the ring, getting the crowd to do a conga line with me around the building. That was fun. So that was definitely up there as one of my favorites.
Please tell me you did the Blue Meanie Truffle as the luchador.
I would have not. So it was literally, again, this is another gimmick that I wasn't supposed to do. we had a show, and I was already doing double duty on one show, which included a cage match.
Oh, wow.
And then some guy ended up with diarrhea who was doing the gimmick at the time. So he couldn't be there. So then it was, but the doors are in like an hour. Liam, do you mind doing triple duty? Absolutely. So I ended up doing me, the cage match, and the mask gimmick. And I had so much fun with it. I was like, if you ever need anyone to do double duty again, I will happily do that gimmick. So that is definitely an accidental success.
The three faces of Liam Jones. That's what we got going on right there, man. So when you break into the Superbeast, let's talk a little bit present, a little bit about maybe the last couple of years or so. And I'm real big on psychology. I really am, and in-ring psychology and everything being put together. What when did that switch go off for you on connecting the dot and as the Super Beast, and when did you know that you were onto it? This is now we're cooking.
No, absolutely. So going from being a small guy wrestler to a big guy wrestler didn't really work for me. In my head, I was still that little guy that was a kid doing all the tricks and all the flips and all the high spots. And we did a show in an abandoned prison at the beginning of last year. And the Super Beast thing still wasn't a thing. And we had WWE scout Jim Smallman come to the show to come check it out and come watch. And I spoke to him afterwards and I was like, okay, any feedback? And he was like, I just loved it. It was really good. I was like, okay, golden question. Why am I not signed to WWE? And how do I make that happen? Because in my head, if I didn't ask that question, then what was the point of even trying to get that feedback, right? And he was like, the thing is we're looking for stars. Go to Japan. That'll help you get around Europe. Then we can talk again about getting you somewhere in WWE. So I was like, okay. He helped me, hooked me up. I was like, okay, right. I now know I have 6-7 months before I go to Japan. And I was like, okay, what's going to work for me as a big guy now going over to Japan? How am I going to be that attraction? And I just used the phrase Super Beast as a throwaway on a random mock-up merch design. I put the UK Heavyweight Super Beast. It was just a throwaway comment that someone had made before that I threw on a mock-up. And it was then like, actually, there's something catchy about that. There's something there that works. I'm not saying that I'm the Super Beast because I'm the best at being this. Same as Superman. He's not Superman because he's like, oh, he's super. He's Superman because he has all those elements that make him better than the regular man, right? I'm a beast in the ring. I hit hard, but also I'm really athletic. I'm really agile. I'm more than just your standard beast. I'm a super beast. So that's where that psychology came from that. Then, like I said, the trip to Japan just really built upon that as being a big guy who will still do the odd athletic thing rather than trying to throw it into every other sequence, if that makes sense.
It totally does. And getting that opportunity to go to Japan, man, what kind of learning experience was that for you? Excuse me. What can you tell us about that?
Honestly, I said this to my partner in the car earlier. It almost feels like for myself, Japan is where I belong. That's really what it felt like. And I learned a lot, about the conditioning and, some techniques and stuff. But so I went out to Kyushu Pro Wrestling, which is Tajiri's grounds. And I was supposed to be training with Tajiri 2 times a week, which I'd go to his first week of sessions. And then he's like, you know more wrestling than I do. I want you to teach my sessions. So then from then on, I'm teaching the Tuesday and Thursday Tajiri class with him then being like, okay, how can I put a Japanese twist on this to then help the Japanese lads? So I'm there showing them some old British stuff. And he's like, okay, for you, talking to one of his students, let's try it like this instead of Liam's way to basically evolve that into his own thing. Then we had a show that weekend and then that would happen. So that was a really big thing for me, was just watching how not only I know how my mind works, but seeing how his mind worked as well. That was a really, really amazing thing for me.
I take it you didn't get misted.
No.
Okay.
So this is something I got credited for. Apparently every foreigner goes there and goes, can I be misted? Can I be misted? Whereas I didn't. I just went there to perform, to learn, to live, just to be better. I wasn't too worried about, oh, if I get misted, that would be a really cool social media click. In my head, yeah, but I wasn't going to be that guy. But I have used the mist since coming back to UK after Tajiri himself said, I'd like you to use it around the UK. And he gave me that green light and that
Wow.
permission. So when I beat Brazen for the heavyweight championship, I did use the green mist as it felt like it was a special occasion to use it rather than just Tajiri told me to do this. It felt like it belonged there.
It worked. It worked its way in. I got so much to pick your brain about. So, for starters, getting over to work with Tajiri at his school or his facility, and then end up teaching classes. Like, that's dope. How long were you in Japan?
So I was there for just over a month, and there was 5 days training unless there was a show the day before. We'd have a break.
Okay.
And we had two shoot classes, your grappling, your real wrestling as such. We had two Tajiri classes a week, and then one class that was just conditioning. So I was still getting all my conditioning and still picking up bits, but then also teaching alongside that whilst I'm being over there. It was, not the experience I expected, but one that I'm very grateful for.
Well, and then you were able to bring that back home as well.
Yeah, no,
That's
absolutely.
That's what I dig
Absolutely.
about guys getting out and doing things outside of their area, especially when you're able to travel international and you get the opportunity to do that because you're coming back to your home fed, and then now you can you have the opportunity, and if people choose to learn it, that's up to them. But you can bestow that knowledge that you did learn because that's got to be invaluable, is the word that comes to mind.
Absolutely. The bigger takeaway I had rather than just the shows, just the training was the shows. So I remember the first show was a 6-man tag, and they was like, okay, what's your big cutoff move? And I was like, okay, well, in the UK, I normally use a big spine buster as my cutoff. And they're like, no, that's too big for a cutoff. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this is the beginning of the match. We're not AEW. This was the big thing. We're not AEW. We're not doing these big high spots at the beginning of the matches. If you want to do a high spot or a big move, we save that for the end and give it its purpose, which is something that I used to be really, really big on. But then with the social media era and seeing like your PWGs and your AEWs, I kind of lost that a little bit and was just, I'll do moves, I'll do spots. So to then go back there and be my mind's brain fried. But for them basically to say that it's okay to just think about the story and take your time to build it really meant a lot to me because it felt like I could just be me. I could be the way I wanted to wrestle. And ever since that, I have come back to the UK and I have wrestled that style, and it's been working. I'm busy. I'm getting booked at different promotions. This year, next week, I'm flying off to Scotland. I've got about 3 or 4 different countries that I'm supposed to be going to this year, waiting for confirmation. So it clearly has worked, which was the best thing for me.
Well, when you say Gotham, I'll come to you in just a second. When you say
Yeah.
countries, is the US one of them?
I would love for it to be one. Unfortunately, it's not at the moment.
Oh, okay.
However, I would love to have that on the Instagram bio flag list.
Okay. All right. Well, I was just curious. We'll see. We'll talk. Goth, go ahead.
I'm just amazed hearing about you being at Tajiri's training facility for a month, and also knowing. I mean, England is known for British strong style and stuff like that, but Japan is, for many, I'm one of them, believe in that that's the mecca of wrestling. What was one of the things that you, besides what you already explained, the things that you had to learn and that was really hard for you to digest, or was it anything that you been taught that was that easy for you to just evolve into your character? And what was the hardest training moment for you over there?
So the hardest training moment was definitely, the conditioning classes, because
Mm-hmm.
their conditioning is next level over there. I was lucky I went over there in a very hot period, so it wasn't as harsh as it probably would have been. And I had friends who were literally at the GLEAT training school the same time that I was in Japan. And I talked to them, and they were like, "We're literally just running around the block, coming and doing our squats, and then that's the day over." Whereas I was getting to do an hour or two of conditioning and then learning to wrestle on top of that, or training on top of that. So that was probably the really hard thing for me. But just how grateful they are as well, and how respectful they are. So, like, you'll come to an indie show in the UK, and people, they don't want to set up the ring. They don't want to put the chairs out. They don't want to be doing the advertising. I'm in Japan. I've helped carry the ring with Tajiri, and me and Tajiri have stood there folding chairs out, putting chairs out. And I was just like, this guy's a wrestling legend.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone has paid their dues and doesn't really need to do this now, it is this man right here. But the fact that he loves the business and that he wants to show his gratitude for it, he's still doing it.
Yeah.
Before every drill, so they taught me basic phrases in Japanese. But before every drill, we had to say thank you to the mat and thank you to the sport. Whether it be we're doing rolls, right? We'd say thank you and show our gratitude. We do two forward rolls. We'd say thank you. We come back to the front of the line, same drill. We'd say thank you, do our rolls, say thank you again. Every single time was just saying thank you and being grateful for what we were given. And I think that was something that was a big eye opener for me more than a struggle. It was more of an eye opener on how lazy and ungrateful people are, especially in the UK on the indie scene compared to there.
I
That's
think.
impressive. I also sorry. I'm
Go
also
ahead.
returning back to what you said about the mentioning about spots, and I agree. So many different moves that were used to be killer finishing moves are now just an ordinary move. And the other day, me and Chris Page watched this past Thursday watched Danny Dynamite, Mr. Dynamite, and he uses the DDT as a finisher. I mean, DDT has been relegated to just an ordinary move, and to see something that Jake the Snake started and now has, in his way, become another finishing move, I respect that, and I'm just glad that you how what you just said about spot move and stuff like that. And just want to say thank you as a fan about certain moves. There needs to be a finishing move and not just an ordinary move.
No, absolutely. And like, it's not even just about like the psychology.
Mm.
I feel like a big thing that I liked as a teenager was PWG, right? I loved watching The Bowler. I loved watching Mystery Vortex. I'd watch it online or sometimes get the DVDs. I'd love watching them. But then, like, you think how crazy those shows were at that time to how crazy we're doing stuff still.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I don't watch AEW. I'll be honest, I don't. It's not for me. But I was sat at my parents' house. I was sat at my parents' house last night, and AEW came on the TV. So we just left it on, and it was Pac versus Darby Allin, which credit to both phenomenal, right? But I'm watching, getting thrown off onto the stage, the belly to belly into the steps, and stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, I've done power drivers on the stage, and I can't walk for 2 weeks. Like, it hurts. To see these guys doing this stuff, the younger generation is going to watch that and think, that's really cool. I either need to imitate it or be bigger than that, if that's what it takes to be signed. So they're going to go and do something even bigger and crazier. And this is the point where we're going to see other wrestlers getting hurt, injured, or just paralyzed for the rest of their life, is where they're trying to imitate it and be bigger than it.
No, I agree 100% there.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer. Like, I don't believe in tribalism, but I'm a firm believer of watching what I like and just not watching what I don't. And that's kind of where I leave it with certain things. Now, obviously, with us being an independent wrestling channel, which is why I love the indies, why I don't have to really deal with a whole lot of that. And then when I do, it's just kind of like, oh, please don't do that. It's just like, come on, please don't do that. Because I don't like guys to get hurt. Like, because truthfully, like my stance on the platform has always been like, you guys are and girls that are out there lacing them up and getting in the ring and entertaining us. Like, I want you around. I don't want you to jeopardize something, over something that may not be safe, or maybe you're put in a position of like, pressure is a thing, right? Like, you don't have to do it. And that's like my biggest thing with guys out there now. If you want to do it, by all means, you go right ahead, but notice you don't have to do anything that may jeopardize you or your career, period. And if anyone tells you otherwise or encourages you to do so, they probably don't have your best interest at heart, and they probably have their own. That's just my opinion. Call me crazy, but I do have a question from chat before we move on within our conversation here, and it is from Shannon, and it involves wrestling moves. Like, she wants to know, what is your favorite and least favorite move, and why? Seems like a good segue.
For me, when it comes to my head, I love the clothesline from hell.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
So I love meaty moves, right? So for me, I love stuff that I can believe, and that is something that I can believe, right? So that is definitely there, and just a classic traditional power driver, right? This is part of the reason why I use both of those as my finishing these days, because they're just so simple, done right. They are so safe, and they genuinely look devastating, both of them. And in terms of moves that I hate, the one I hate, especially if it's ever thrown at me, is the Deadeye. The Adam Page does it right there, where they're down the back, Alabama slam position, drop into it. And don't get me wrong, I know that there's people that can do it safe. And I had someone ask me to take that a few months back, which I said, no, thank you. I shall not take that. However, I then seen someone else take that exact move from the same person, where they completely let go of them and they just drop straight on their heads.
Oh.
So that's just one move for me personally that is just a no for me.
I understand that 100%. So let's talk a little bit about Evolution Wrestling. You just talked about earlier, you mentioned about knocking off Brazen for the heavyweight championship not too long ago. What's on the horizons there? What you got coming up? What's on the radar?
So this year we're just so busy as a promotion as it is.
Sure.
We've just moved to a brand new training facility, which isn't 100% finished, right? We've still got stuff to be moved, matting to put out, signs to be made. We've got a brand new canvas, which is yet to be painted. We still got stuff to do. So that's a big thing for us as an academy. And we're currently open 6 nights a week, and we're looking to be open 7 nights a week, which is already plans which will be flown into motion very, very soon. In terms of the wrestling promotion, where we're so busy, we have a big venue which we call GL1 Leisure Center, and that is like our WrestleMania. We run it 3 times a year, and our goal right now is to use all our other venues to build those up as much as we can and try and sell them out. So each time we've done it in the past year, the attendance has got higher and higher. We want it to be to a point where we have to refuse to let people in because it is so jam-packed. So that is definitely on the horizon for us this year. In terms of myself within Evolution Wrestling, I'm wrestling. I got Alexander Moff, one of the homegrown lads. He's a former tag champ. I've worked him multiple times defending my titles against him. He's someone who I just enjoy hitting really hard, if I'm honest. He's very pasty. He marks up nice. So yeah, that's a fun one for sure. Teaming with Chris Angel next month, which will be the heavyweight champion and the limitless champion teaming up, which I believe will be the first time in EVW history as well.
Cool.
And where as a wrestler, I'm hopefully going to these other countries. We have been speaking about doing partnerships with me defending the EVW title over there, or EVW talent coming over there, and vice versa. So hopefully, as long as it all goes to plan, lots of big things for the academy and for the promotion.
I'm loving to hear it. I love to hear the growth, and I love to hear that there is possibility to get some other guys out and some other pieces in the other countries, really. Because experience is invaluable. The more you get of it, the better you're gonna be. And schools are everywhere. And I always tell people, like, for people who go to training schools that have set programs, as an example, like it's a 3-month thing or whatever. All right, well, where are you going next? I don't know. I really thought about it. I was like, we probably need to, because what you've learned here is just here, and how it's one person's perspective, or however many trainers. Go and venture out and see what you can learn elsewhere, because the learning never stops. It never stops. And to see that you guys are taking it seriously, like I said, I think this is our 3rd or 4th conversation with somebody from Evolution. I love to see it, and I love to hear it, because it means that you're doing something right, and that's the name of the game.
I appreciate that. Going back to your whole like trainer thing, we purposely have multiple trainers to take sessions a week. And in the past, we've had lots of guest trainers come in, which is something that we are picking up on again this year, where it's not going to be announced, it's just going to be surprise sessions.
Sure.
Rather for lads to be like, I'm only going to go because I know so and so's taking that session. It's you turn up to train and you put in the work, then you'll train with so and so. But there's other promotions near us that are very tribalist. So we have one promotion who one of their students started coming to our school because they just quality, and I'm not gonna shit on anyone and name drop, but their quality just isn't there. They don't even have a ring to train in. They're not teaching people safe techniques. And we originally had someone come from that school to learn with us. And they was like, I just feel the quality difference on how your working holds, putting stuff on, just how much safer it is. But they've offered for me to win a championship in front of my family, so I'm going to stay there. We've had other people who's just come and said, I'm completely leaving there because it's not safe. And I think that's something that so many schools are worried about, is their students going elsewhere and then their shit being found out, and then almost losing that revenue because that's all they care about. They don't care about making stars or making it safe, or having trainees that will go on to work for WWE, TNA. They just care about what money they get in that month, and that's it.
Yeah, no, but there's definitely pieces of that, and that's kind of like the backside and the downside of professional wrestling, is you always have to be careful. And the beautiful thing about our channel is, like, if I start watching companies and I affiliate with, like, and I look and I just make sure that our wavelengths matter and they're on the same page. And for me, it's all about, for the workers, it's all about keeping things safe and making sure that you're taken care of, and then for the fans' perspective, it's did we give them their money's worth? That's the name of the game, and if the answer is to yes to both of those, then I'm in good shape. I'm okay. But it's when shit gets south, I don't like that, and I have a voice, and I have a platform, and I don't like to utilize it that way, but. I mean, rather when you're seen by as many people as we are, I think we can do stuff like that if we need to. But just a last resort for anything like that. But let me ask you this: as we start winding things down, I've got several questions that I ask everybody that comes through the doors, because to me, I think that they're very crucial and they're very important, because we do independent wrestling and we do it all over the world, but we only see what comes across our screen. So to have someone from your perspective and your lineage, if you will, dating back to 5 years old, you've seen done a lot in a period, and you got a long way to go, which makes this that much better. But from your perspective, with our platform being independent wrestling, we do cast a wide net. So obviously everybody's goal is to get to the Feds, the WWEs, the TNAs, and the AEWs, and I can't help with any of that, but we do have a lot of friends all over the world. So the first question I've got for you, and I say aim high, where are some places that you want to work? You say you want to get out and you want to do some international stuff. What's some international companies that you're interested in?
So if we're talking like big leagues, on the global indie scale. I'd love to go, WXW over in Europe, which I have reached out to them and we have had conversations. Their regime and how they want to do it at that moment just didn't sit right with me as such. OTT over in Ireland. I don't know why. I've always been fascinated about Ireland. Body Slam again over in the European region. But for me as well, I just really want to wrestle everywhere. Right? I'm not very. I don't care where it is. I want to wrestle everywhere. I want to be the best everywhere, but I also want to be able to provide for my family, for my kids, for my partner, for my company. This is my full-time job. This is my Monday to Sunday, start again Monday. This is everything for me. So to be able to wrestle everywhere and anywhere, that is the goal, really.
Okay, I got you. I love to hear that too. I can hear it. Go ahead, Goff.
I just want to say that's a good mindset to just be focused on what you want to achieve and don't let yourself get thwarted by anybody else, or just don't you see any obstacle that's gonna stand in your way. I really enjoyed and like the names that you mentioned of the companies that you would love to work with.
No, I appreciate that. And there's some big UK promotions, like your Rev Pros and Progresses, that I'd love to work for. They're kind of at the minute with NXT UK gone out the UK. That's kind of the big ones left in the UK to aim for. And I've spoken to them as well. And again, a bit like what I said with WXW, their mindset on how you start off there isn't exactly the way that I feel they should be, as a high promotion, isn't the way I feel like they should be booking their talent. Personally, for me, it doesn't sit right for me. Hence why I won't do that. If they want to book me because of my wrestling ability and my merit and everything that I've done in these past 20 years now, brilliant. But I'm not going to go and act like a rookie again just because that's what they want.
Understandable. Nor should you really. I feel like you should be treated and handled in a way that the work warrants, right? So if you've been out there doing it for 20 years, I think you give somebody a shot. That's what it boils down to, right? Like just give somebody an opportunity. You just give them one, and you never know what can happen. We're proof positive of that with this platform, period. And we have a pretty good relationship with Progress Wrestling. We get opportunities to stream their stuff. We've had some conversations, but give them a chance, Progress. Jesus Christ, come on. Who are some people out there on the scene that you want to get in the ring with on the independent scene? Who are some of your bucket list matches that you want to have?
So last year was my first year ever doing bucket lists, right? It's always been something that I've never believed in. And only one name on that stuck was a UK wrestler called Alexander Roth.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a phenomenal talent. Phenomenal talent. And he's just one person who I've known for a long time. I've not had the chance to be able to get in the ring with, and someone that I would like to get in the ring with. Alongside with Will Cruz. I feel like as another big athletic dudes, I feel like that's just something that not only would be fun for me, but I think that would be something that the fans would enjoy. That's my mindset looking at it, rather than what do I want. I think that's something that the fans would enjoy more.
Sign me up.
I could see both of those happening, and independent wrestling, much like anything else, and wrestling in general, is 6 degrees of separation. So I think we're separated. When I say we, I mean our platform separated by both of those names by like 2 people. So and where you're at, it's very logical. We'll talk when we get off there about some stuff. Let me ask you this, my third question for you, and for me, this is probably the most important one from the platform's perspective, because we do independent wrestling and we dive deep into independent wrestling, and we know that there are hidden gems everywhere. Who are some hidden gems? Give me some people that we should be watching from your perspective.
From the Evolution perspective, especially. For me, the top 3 right now from the Evolution that you're not familiar with yet, as far as I'm aware, you guys aren't familiar with yet, is I'm going to start off with Alex Moff because I've already mentioned him. He is someone, he originally started during our kids' classes, gave up for a while, and he has come back. And I believe if he has the right mindset, he would be incredible. He is intense. I think he would be mint. Another one, his tag partner, Tommy Sykes. Again, he has had years where he has been like the best wrestler on the shows. And I think he did take a year where it kind of plateaued, if I'm being honest. And I feel like this year, just seeing him in training, I can see that fire again. So I think he is definitely someone that when he is focused, should be everywhere. And lastly, the obvious one for the Evolution lads is a lad called Levi Cooper, who I'm sure Brazen and Chris both probably mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
He is incredibly talented and gifted and is fucking annoying because he is annoying. And last year, he finally listened. He changed his character and he was just him. He is a prima donna diva. He is flamboyant and he just pisses you off when he walks into the locker room, onto the shows. So from the EVW side, definitely hidden gems there.
I want to see him.
Just to general like indies as such. I don't think he's a hidden gem anymore. JJ Gale, he is class. I think everyone knows that now. I wouldn't consider him a hidden gem anymore. In the UK, there's two lads, both from the Power Wrestling area, called Archie Cole and Keanu. They are both really good lads, work really hard. I think Archie, I think he's today actually flying back off to Japan. But Keanu, who works alongside of him, he is sick. And the last one I'll throw on that list is Endokara. I believe he's originally from Turkey, I believe. Please don't quote me on that. And he's traveled to Japan. He has traveled over the world, and he is just someone who is incredibly gifted at this. So they definitely be my picks.
Let me circle back to Levi. So what I heard there was that someone has taken your crown of being a little shit from a 5-year-old punting footballs at people, putting up a ring. Now fast forward 20 years, it's no longer yours. Does that sound correct? Do we have a new little shit champion here?
So I wouldn't refer to Levi as a little shit. I'd refer to him as a massive shit. He is
massive
like honestly,
shit
he's
okay.
great. He is great. But if we're talking about little shits, I'm talking about any of the kids that turn up to our EVW Kids Academy. We do have one lad called Tommy King, I think he's only about 13. And if he sticks at this when he's older, I guarantee, and I will put money on it, by the time he is 18, if he isn't already being considered, he will be signed. And I'd put money on that.
Oh, wow.
High praise. I like it. Goth, what do you got? You got anything else before we start wrapping things up?
I just want to say thank you for this whole conversation. I mean, it's like I've said offline, it's always nice to see what people got to say about their journey into pro wrestling, and to sit here with you and talk about all the things that you have done and that you've been to Tajiri's training school and stuff like that. I mean, it's mind-boggling, and so I just want to say thank you for this whole conversation, and I really enjoyed it.
No, thank you. And with you mentioned Tajiri, I wanna throw a couple more names into that hidden gem list.
Okay.
In Kyushu, Japan, there's a bloke, the Japanese heavy tank Kodai, who was in the PWI top 500 this year. But his tag partner is Jet, and one of the trainees over there, Ume, they are two lads who they will be at New Japan anytime soon. And there's a lad from Italy called Creamy, Alex Creamy. I know he's coming to the UK in February, but Alex Creamy, he is incredible. So there are three more I want to add from the international scale.
Absolutely.
With you mentioned Tajiri, I feel like I owe them that as well to throw that out.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna look the Italian guy up immediately.
Well, yeah.
No, absolutely.
What you
absolutely.
done?
So
go ahead.
So when I first met him was when I went over to FCW in Italy, and he won the championship against the Immortal TG. And I know since then, the most recent match I can think of, he wrestles for SAJ in Italy, and he teams with the UK wrestler called Mike Bird, he's class. Creamy and Mike Bird teamed up against Dragon Kids, and I'm trying to think of Dragon Kid's tag partner now. I can't think of his name, but they had an insane tag match, and I definitely suggest looking that one up.
Oh, we definitely will. I mean, that's what we got the
Absolutely.
platform for.
What you don't know is, like, with names that you give us that we don't know, we have a spreadsheet. None of these names go on our spreadsheets. And I can't tell you when, and I can't tell you when it will come, when it will happen, or how it'll happen. But eventually, we'll do a show on them, and then we circle back around and credit you for that, because you're the one who gave us their name to look at as our platform continues to grow and the audience continues to grow. That's the name of the game. And it's not only that, when we start looking at these matches, you're not just giving me the names and, specifically, they got to have opponents too. So you're giving me more than just one, double that when we start watching matches, because that's the beautiful thing. We don't ever know what we're going to see, and that's what independent wrestling is all about. And it's just a great feeling. Is there anything you would like to plug? Anything you want to throw out there? The floor is yours, sir, by all means.
For me, I just really want people to, obviously, one, check out Liam Jones, the Superbeast. Like I said, last year was my biggest year I've had as a professional wrestler, but I really focused on myself. So this year, I'm trying to make it bigger. I'm trying to make it better. But alongside that, this year, I'm focusing really hard on the EVW, not shows, the training school especially, making it an area which, if you're an existing pro wrestler, come down, get better at your craft. If you're new to this, come along, start out. And we have a kids academy as well, where someone that wrestled as a child, wrestled as a teenager, and as an adult, I think I have more experience to talk on teaching kids than any other wrestler in this country.
Absolutely. And
Am I to disagree?
No, and the easiest way that you can do that is by sharing, and subscribing where you can. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And in Liam's case, it's been on the screen the entire show. Liam Jones Wres, WRES, is where you can find him on Instagram. Give him a follow. Check out what he's got going on. And also check out Evolution Wrestling. You'll get all the links to all that down below in the video descriptions when this comes out here in the next couple of days. Maybe probably take a week or so before I can turn it around, but we'll have it out. All that stuff will be down below. Mr. Jones, I am greatly, greatly appreciative that we got to spend just a little bit of time with you today. And what I love about our conversations initially is that they're just scratching the surface, because we want you to come back. We're all about building long-term relationships and nothing short-term, because it doesn't do anybody any good. So my door is always open for you, and I definitely will be reaching back out to bring you back on if that is something that you're interested in the future, and definitely want to know how history goes down as the Limitless champion and the World Heavyweight champion tag team for the first time in February.
Absolutely. Honestly, I don't know how it works your end. Maybe there's a way where we can have the Limitless and the Heavyweight champion on the podcast at the same time. I don't know how that would work out for you guys, but I feel like that could be a very interesting one.
It's not difficult at all. We just got to get a date together, and we'll chat about that here in just a minute as well. Guys, this is where we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. A special, again, thank you to our guest today, the Super Beast himself, Mr. Liam Jones. A huge shout out to the Gimmicky One, Gimmicky Goth, for joining me today. And as you know, I am Chris Page, and I'll be back in about an hour. If you're watching on YouTube, this is where we're going to say, we'll see you next time.